right, we're here at the Letus booth. I'm with Aaron. If you remember last year, we had shown you the Helix, which was like a Dutch roll mechanicized system. I'm screwing that up. But but you do have an update to that design, and it looks pretty cool. Looks like you're integrating some new technologies. Yeah. So run over this. Run over this. Well, don't run over it, because you'll break it. Just give me the breakdown of it.
Probably actually run over parts of this. Anyway, like you said, the Dutch roll system, the Helix. If you remember last year, we had that big ring in front.
Right.
And the reason we had that is when you're swinging the camera up, you basically have to muscle that weight up and over.
Right.
Which is why we had that big ring, which is why we're using stepper motors. Well, the first year we showed it, which was 2 years ago, all the Steadicam guys, they said, hey man, that's awesome, but I want an auto horizon. But stepper motors aren't fast enough to do that.
Right.
So what we've done is we've kept optical center. So if I spin this, you'll see it's you know, pretty much dead in line with the rotational axis this way.
So yeah, tell me about these. I mean, obviously, optical center for a lot of cameras is not center, not the center of gravity.
I haven't found one yet.
Right, so, exactly.
What we've done, we call it, it's just a big fancy term for it, we call it Tri-Axial Balancing.
Okay.
So basically what that means is we create a triangle, and the bottom of the triangle is the camera. And once you get that optically centered, there's never going to be balanced. So what we've done is we've added 2 more points, this, and you put counterweights on here, and we can totally get the camera perfectly balanced. So if I set this camera here, it's going to stay there. Same here, it doesn't matter where I turn it, it's going to be perfectly level.
So you can dynamically balance it then.
Now the benefit of that is we can get away from the stepper motors because we don't need the torque anymore. So we can go to a brushless motor.
Right.
Now the beauty of this is the brushless motor, we can still do that roll shot, which was originally designed to do, but it also lets us do the stabilization like the Steadicam guys wanted. They wanted the auto horizon. All right. The brushless motor is fast enough to keep up with that. And so I know you're familiar with because you're a gimbal guy.
Right, exactly.
So we're using, this has an 8-bit controller in it, but the final version will have 32-bit controller with the Bluetooth, joystick control, all that goodness. And then another thing that we've added to this, I remember last year we would do a roll shot, and we had the camera all powered. You'd go like 5 times around. You can only go so far. And it's like the wires start getting to go back around and untwist it. So what we've done is we've gone to the slip ring, and we have HD SDI and a power port here on the top, so you can plug your monitor preview and your monitor and your camera power into here, and then it feeds out down here.
Awesome.
So you could spin this all day long, and you're not twisting up your cables.
Great.
And then the other thing we have here is a joystick port. So you can have a joystick to run this roll, and like I said, this will have a Bluetooth module. So there's an app for this control board, so you can roll it through Bluetooth as well.
Yeah, I really like the on how easy it looks to adjust for balancing as well.
Yeah.
So if I change the lens out on this, I mean, what do I have to do to get this back in balance?
Well, this setup right here, like balancing this camera, took me about 5 minutes to get it optically centered and balanced. Now the beauty of that is if I change this lens out, I'm not changing anything with balance because the lens is cylindrical and it's on that center line.
It's symmetrical, and
the only thing you'd have to adjust is the front and back.
Okay.
And this is our 2-axis setup. For Steadicam guys, you would take this motor out because you just need a horizon. You can add this motor and get like a nice gentle pan.
Nice.
But what we'll do is we'll move on to the 3-axis one.
Yes.
And all of this is identical. The only thing we've done here is added this crossbar and a 3rd axis, which is this motor here. Yeah,
I'm definitely loving the design, the approach that you took of this, using the existing Helix idea and just adding the handles. Because, you know, as we've talked before with our gimbal, we're holding the handles here, but our camera is put here.
Yeah, it's down by your belly.
Right. Yeah. So in order to get the shot, you know, you have your way up here to get the camera here. Well, you don't have to do that with this.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of this system. You know, most of the gimbals out there, they came from the helicopter down and they got handles on them. But a gimbal hanging makes sense on a helicopter because you don't want to see your rotors or anything like that.
Right.
With us, we've kind of come from the tripod up the other direction, and our focus has always been on production environments. So all of our cables are tucked away. We have power solutions.
It's very clean. Yeah.
Everything's really clean, and the beauty of this, I'm going to power this one up here. So we'll let that stabilize. So I have this set as a kill switch, so if it's not quite calibrated right, I can
recalibrate it.
Get everything balanced the way I want it.
All right.
And then just hit that button again.
There we go.
All right, so now this thing's ready to go. So if I grab this, you know, you get your typical stabilization this way. And the thing I like, this hand, it doesn't matter what I do. So I can mount a monitor here, okay, and be previewing. And this hand is what does your tilt up and your tilt down. And we have a follow on that. And the same with our pen. It has a follow pan.
Okay.
And this board will hold 5 profiles, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Correct.
So if you have a profile where you want to really snapping back and forth, you can do that. Say profile 2, it kind of eases it out, or profile 3 goes out of follow mode, so it just goes wherever you point it.
Or you can use a joystick or even radio control.
Exactly.
Right.
So you can hook up your typical RC controller like the helicopter guys are familiar with.
Right.
There's a joystick port.
Yeah. So you added that in, so you just quickly plug it in.
Yeah, you
That's
plug
nice.
in a joystick. So if you want to, battery is dead here, but if you want to do a joystick move, you just put it up here, so you can do a one-man, you know, hold it steady and do pan tilts wherever you want.
Now, speaking of battery, right now you're going in through a Limo, right?
Yeah.
Or with the Anton Bauer.
Anton Bauer. And so what I have here is I just have a Peak Design, a little quick release here on one of our cheese plates and then the battery plate. And again, why are you holding the battery weight out here like a typical gimbal? There's no reason to hold it out here. Just put it on your hip.
You end up with back muscles the size of mountains, you know, after about a year.
So that was the whole concept, is get as much weight off here as we can and put it down here. I might have some battery back.
All right.
But the other thing I really like is you're holding the camera here, close to your body. You're not extended out here. Yep. And like you were saying, you know, you can hold the camera up, and my battery's dead again, but you know, move the camera up and around a lot better than you can with a typical dangling gimbal system. Right,
like I know that I remember hearing people complain about having to use a gimbal inside a vehicle. Yeah. That would work perfectly. You know, you don't have that ceiling problem. You know, they're trying to get around that by inverting it, you know. But this is just a great design for that kind of purpose.
Yeah, I really like it. It's easy to pack up. And like we were mentioning before, with balancing it, you know, a typical gimbal, I've flown, you know, the RC helicopters for years, and you know, and you're familiar with the gimbal. You're trying to balance that camera in a 3D space,
right? So
it's anyone's guess where it needs to be perfectly balanced. But because we're balancing each axis one at a time, we're able to get, you know, basically you've eliminated all of that. So if I change this lens out, all I'm doing is shifting this forward and back to reestablish that front and back. So super easy to change lenses without having to recalibrate everything.
Okay, is this is what we're looking at like a production model? Is there still more engineering to do, or?
We are doing some changes based on feedback we've got from beta testers and here at the show. I would say this is about 90% where we want it.
Okay.
So, basically, we do those last few changes, and we're going to release it for production.
All right, is there a planned release date and pricing for this?
Right now, we're thinking probably about 6 weeks for release.
Okay.
Pricing, because we're having some custom motors made for us that kind of depend on what pricing will be. We're thinking it's going to be around $4,000 for the 3-axis.
Okay.
You go down to the 2-axis, it's going to drop that by $700, and if you go down to the 1-axis, it drops an additional $500.
Oh, so you can pick 1, 2, or 3 axes.
Yeah, you can pick 1, 2, or 3. You can buy the 3 and do the 2 and the 1.
Okay.
If you just want 1 axis.
So it's all modular.
Everything's modular, and that's the way we like to develop stuff, because you might not want all 3 axes. You might just want maybe a monopod with a single axis. And so.
Okay, and one last question. Right now, what's your weight limit?
On this, with this particular motor, we're probably about right around 15, 16 pounds.
Okay, still quite a bit.
It'll hold quite a bit. We are going to be building a bigger one that's geared. It's going to be built around an Alexa. That's the plan. It'll be beefier. It'll have higher power capabilities.
Right.
So because the Alexa's a power hungry camera. So.
All right, Aaron. I see that you also have a GoPro version.
Yes, this is our Gopro Stabilizer. It's the same concept as this. We did this one just kind of for fun, really. We use a slip ring, so this.
The same thing. Okay.
So you can go around, and around with this.
So you could ride a Ferris wheel for like 6 months and not have to worry.
Or if you want, if you're if you like batons or something.
Yeah. There we go, baton cam.
Yeah. So the cool thing about this is, you can see that footage back there. I was hanging out a window going about 65 miles an hour, and I just held this thing down by the road, and as we passed a car, I just lifted it up over the car. Yeah. We came around and I lowered it back down. So luckily I didn't hit the pavement with it or anything, but I did have to dig some grass out of it once. I had a little too low by the side of the road. But.
Now you mentioned it's a lot like these, so we have one axis on here. Are you able to expand this to multiple?
This is a single axis. We do have a 2-axis, and we've had quite a few people ask us for a 3-axis here, and that's something that we might be able to do. We haven't looked too much into it. So, and this is near production as well. The only difference is right now we just have like a a little LiPo battery for this. We do have a battery plate for an LPE6 Canon battery.
Okay.
We just didn't have time. Didn't have time to get it machined for the show. But that's what the battery solution means. You just snap it in rather than doing the
Yeah, LiPos are a whole other battery care thing.
LiPos are a fire hazard if you don't have the proper.
If you don't know how to use them, so it's great for beginners that using the Antons and then the Canons.
Yeah. So we want to all of our stuff is designed for filmmakers, and we don't want you to have a huge learning curve trying to figure out how to adapt RC technology to your workflow. We keep everything on the film side on the workflow. And
I'm also noticing your lens adapter on here. Can you tell me a little bit about what you got going on there?
This is our Anamorphic Adapter for the GoPro. We have an entire line of anamorphic lenses. This is a 1.33 conversion, so it takes your 16:9 aspect ratio, and basically it squashes your image. And then when in post, you stretch it back out to a 2.39 aspect ratio, 2.35, so you get that really nice anamorphic look. And with the added benefit of the cool J.J. Abrams flares.
Oh yeah, you get those flares.
Yeah.
Now you also have some anamorphic lens adapters for cinema cameras too, right?
I can show you those.
Yeah, let's go take a look at those.
All right.
Anamorphic lenses. I want to talk about anamorphic lenses. All right, so you guys have kind of come up with like a whole lineup of anamorphics. We saw a lot of people were using the Panasonic LA7200s, and they kind of went on eBay and got really expensive, and then they're hard to find. But a lot of people are wanting to incorporate anamorphics with their standard lenses, and it's really hard to do that. Either anamorphics are really expensive, or they're just really hard to work with. So tell us about your system.
Well, this was the GoPro Anamorphic we mentioned earlier, and this will attach to a Hero 3 Plus housing. Basically, you take the GoPro cap off, and this takes the place of it. So you have a completely waterproof anamorphic adapter. So I took this out to Hawaii last month and was shooting underwater, and it's awesome. Underwater anamorphic is a lot of fun. And then optionally, there's this little lens cap or a little lens clamp on the back. So if you want to just put it straight on it'll work with a Hero 3 or 3 Plus. It'll just snap right on there if you don't want to use the housing.
How's the autofocus? Because sometimes the GoPros underwater are a little bit finicky.
With this, it's fine because the front of this adapter is flat. You get the trouble when there's a little bit of a curvature to it because water is technically a lens too, so you're these two lens fighting. But with the flat front that this one has, it's no problem at all. But yeah, this is the one we've been selling this for several months now. It's been doing very well. You can attach it to either a DSLR lens like a GH2 like I have it set up there, or this comes out and this will go straight onto like a CP2, anything 114 millimeter. And we have 110 millimeter, 95 millimeter spacers, so it'll work with just about any lens. It has a matte box. This is a feature I really like because this is your filter tray for the matte box. It just goes right in on those pins.
That's cool.
So if you don't need the filters, you don't need to have the weight of a tray to hold them. So, and then, like I said, this is the one we're currently selling. It's a 1.33, same as the GoPro one. So it's going to give you a 2.39 final image. And then we also have, this is our Pro version. It's a little bit different optic design. This is the one if you're shooting like dedicated anamorphic, like say you're shooting a feature all anamorphic. This is the one I recommend. It's a little bit higher grade optics. Let's see what else is there about this one.
Well, it's much larger front to it.
Yeah, it's a lot of people ask me, what is this thing going to lose light? and this thing gathers so much light. I mean, there's no, you're not losing any stops with this thing. Same matte box as the other one with the snap-in filter tray. This is about $1,000 more than the other one just because of the optics upgrade in it.
So Anamorphics, some people know what the look is, but what are some of the advantages overall that you get from Anamorphic?
Well, the thing I like about it is it's a different look to everything you see out there. You can fake Anamorphic by putting a black bar on top and bottom, but when you truly shoot Anamorphic, it just has like this different feel to it. Not to mention the lens flares. I mean, the lens flares are really cool too, and you can utilize those in your shots. You know, you can add lens flares in post too, but normally you can tell when they've been added in post. The other thing that I like about it is you're not wasting any of your images when you go to a 2.39 aspect ratio, because you're using the whole 16:9 image sensor, and you're compressing more data onto it. You're basically squashing the image, and then in post you're stretching it out. So you're getting anamorphic without throwing data away. That's one thing I really like about it. The one thing I found though is I've been shooting so much anamorphic, now I see 16:9 and it looks weird to me. You know, kind of like, when 16:9 came out in 4:3, you're like, why is it so weird looking? So now I'm getting to the point now where it's like, if it's on anamorphic, it looks strange to me. So I really enjoy it, and I think it's, 35mm adapters were kind of, everyone, before large format sensors came out, everyone wanted 35mm adapters for the film look. Well, this is the next logical step, Now you have large format cameras, what's the next thing to get that film look? And anamorphic is definitely the next direction to go for getting, your film look.
Sure. Now, say somebody says, I want to shoot anamorphic. What changes? Is there a logistics difference? What happens?
Yes, shooting with an anamorphic adapter, there are some things you need to be aware of. You can put this on just about any lens. It's really optimized, anywhere from this one's optimized anywhere between a 30 to 60 millimeter focal length. But one thing you need to keep in mind, you can't do a rack focus from like 100 feet to 5 feet. With an anamorphic adapter, you're basically stacking lenses. So you're going to have a far focus range, a medium focus range, and a near focus range. And that's what this ring is for, that you adjust here. So say you want a far focus range, you set your whatever lens you have back here, say it's a CP2. You set that to infinity, and you focus it. And if you can't quite get focused, that means you need to adjust this ring up here. And now that's going to give you a certain amount of focus throw at the far range. And you get to the point where you don't be able to focus anymore on something a little bit closer, and then you need to adjust this again. And then you get another section of focus that you can do on the Zeiss. And then when you get really close, you're going to have to add a third. So usually you have 2 or 3 focus zones when using an anamorphic adapter, and that's just the nature of the adapter. There's really no way around it. That's just the way they work. So.
You guys have designed it in a way that's fairly intuitive, so that some people have to shim it back and forth or something like that with some of the other adapters out there.
Yeah, it's really easy to use. Once you use it, it's a lot of people, you tell them that's like, oh, that sounds really complicated, but once you use it and kind of understand how it all works, it's super easy to do, and you kind of get a feeling for what lenses need to be at what setting to get optimal use out of them.
Right. So somebody's getting addicted to anamorphic and they want to shoot everything. What else do you guys got?
If you want to shoot everything anamorphic, we have this little guy right here. It's a 1.33 anamorphic, and it's designed to clip on your iPhone. So GT, who works here at Letus, has absolutely fallen in love with this. Anything you see at GT posted is going to be anamorphic. And it's a fun little adapter. It's $99 and you can go anamorphic on your iPhone.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time, Aaron.
Yeah, thank you.
Special thanks to our sponsors for making our NAB coverage possible.